Slim, you know, one of the first things I want to hear is how you got your name.
Well, my mother was a part Cherokee woman, and my grandfather had a friend by the name of Clausine Ratlingord, or Clausine Ratlingord, whatever how you want to pronounce it. And of course, me and my cousins, the two of us, are blue-eyed, light complected, and her name is Sonalia, which means the time before dawn. And they didn't want us to forget who we were.
And this is in Cherokee?
Yes,
the Cherokee Nation in northern Oklahoma.
Northeastern Oklahoma, yes.
That's where you were raised in.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about those early years. Your mom and dad had some horses, and I want to hear a little bit of the story about those early years.
Well, my grandfather and my Uncle Clyde, and I don't know about Uncle Ed, whether he did or not, but my mother, we took cavalry mounts, and we had a bunch of mares, and we would raise cavalry horses, and which they disbanded after the World War II in '46. But we would breed the horses to their stallion and then break them out and sell them to the cavalry. Now
these were what they were called remount studs.
Yes, sir.
And my understanding that those were, a lot of them were thoroughbred horses.
Thoroughbred, Morgan,
okay.
A lot of different breeds. Most of it, they looked at the bone structure and the muscle structure of the stallion, that the composition they wanted
in those mounts.
Yeah.
Did that country have electricity back then?
Oh, yeah.
So you had power there?
Well, yeah, in some places. We actually got a telephone.
Oh, really? Before
we had electricity out there at the old homestead, which is 17 miles east of Lenapaw, Oklahoma, the cowboy capital of the world. I think it was 1953 that Bill Childers put in a telephone, and I think there was 12 people on the line.
Yeah.
Everybody listened in, and you had to duck underneath the lines if you were horseback. And then in 1956, electricity come in out there.
I see. From there, where did you go?
My mother and my father divorced when I was 12 or 13 years old. My mother come out here in New Mexico at the Bonanza Ranch. And in the summers, I was still in school and I stayed back there. I would come out and visit with her. I was 15 years old. And my first job was chore boy up there on the Vermejo. I made $65 a month. I was first one up, the last one to go to bed. So the next year when I came out, I said, I ain't being chore boy. So I started cowboying, and John Brewer was manager then, and Judd Knight was cow boss. And eventually Judd Knight became my stepfather. And I cowboyed out there, and then after I got out of school, I come out there and cowboyed. That's 7 different times.
What kind of cattle did they run back then?
They were Hereford cattle, and to my recollection, I think we run between 17 and 19,000 head.
On how many acres?
He had, Mr. Gordy.
Or sections, maybe sections.
Well, I don't know the sections. Mr. Gordy sit there and had control of approximately 800,000 acres.
800,000 acres.
And when he sold it to Pennzoil, he sold them like 700,000. The rest of it was lease land.
Lease land. And the cowboy camps, obviously you had to cut that thing up a little bit, didn't you, to manage it? How?
Yeah, we had 16 cowboys, and most of them had a camp.
Name a few of those camps for me, just.
Well, Nick Mitchell was in La Cueva camp. I was in Rincon. Ray Knox was at Castle Rock. A little boy by the name of Slee, Billy Slee, was at Windmill Bremer. And Connie Allen, I think Connie Allen was at either Rich Cabins or Clayton Cabins.
Well, how did the wagon boss organize the gathering of that many cattle? You just do it by camp?
Yeah, we'd go by camp to camp, and we'd take so many horses and take them to the next camp, and then we would either get up or drive, either one, ride or drive to the next camp up there, and we just go in sections like this.
And you just, early in the spring, you're branding the calves, I guess.
Yeah, and we didn't get a day off. It was
that
from
days?
yeah, it was from till, and we didn't get none till after the 4th of July when we started. We got one day off, and that was the 4th of July. I'll tell you a little story about that. Nick Mitchell was in Waquela camp, and I was in Rincon on the 4th of July, and of course we was going in town to bust a gag canals, and so he said, well, they said, we're going to drive both vehicles, says I'll come over and pick you up. So I was sitting waiting on him, and it started snowing the 4th of July. And it started snowing. Well, when we got to Cimarron, the cowboy said, well, where you been? We got snowed in. Of course, they thought we were lying, but it actually snowed on the 4th of July.
The quarter horse has come a long way. And the times you're talking about, some of that time was before there even was a quarter horse association. What they call the original, before there was an association? What?
Well, actually, we didn't call them anything. My mother, most of the horses that we got came from out of the Osage country, Osage Nation, and there was a woman, an Osage woman by the name of Dolly Duck, one of the horses that I remember most, and she was a little bench-legged sorrel horse, real twist, hard twist little thing. Of course, I called her Strawberry because she was that color, and I think the Quarter Horse Association come in 46. It was after World War I anyway. But the horses before then were being bred up to thoroughbreds, Morgans, and stuff like this for the cavalry. And like I worked on another ranch back in Oklahoma for Ronald Mason, and he raised Oklahoma Star and Beggar Boy and all these other Sun Fairest horses. And Oklahoma Star was by Cutthroat and Steel Dust, which were both thoroughbreds, and they came from England. But he muscled out what the quarter horse people were looking for: short, under 15 hands, heavy muscles, and sprint horses. And if you look at that horse up in the association, he's P6, which means he was the 6th horse registered.
Is that right?
Permanent.
Yeah.
P6.
Yeah. Well, Albert Mitchell was one of the first presidents of that, and he was, of course, managed the Bell Ranch for many years, and as well as his own ranch. And of course, his sister, Linda Davis, married Les Davis, and they had the CS Ranch. So all of those people and some of our viewers will certainly connect with some of the stories you're telling. Slim, I want to ask you one last question. How can Hollywood, and this is a tough question because there could be many answers, but how could Hollywood better present the American cowboy as you grew up to know who that man really is, and woman, of course?
Get with the old timers that, like we were talking a while ago, I'm a very firm believer if you give your word, it's your bond. And I think that if you would get with a bunch of old timers that still have those values, that you'd be surprised what you'd end up with in Hollywood.
Maybe the federal government could use a little of that too in these days, huh?
They need a whole lot of it.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. From Bonanza Creek Ranch, thanks for watching Legacy Trails and Tales. So long for now.